Welcome back to the old boob tube. It's winter time here. It's snowing. It's cold. I got the motor back together after y'all seen the timing chain issue. I was going to make a video on it, and I started to, but once I get into the engine, I kind of like to focus and not forget stuff or lose stuff, all that. So didn't really put a video out on that. But it's good now. I took it out, made a test pass. I don't think I got the oil pan gasket in there all the way. It grenaded about 6 quarts of oil all over the car, the motor, windshield's covered, it's still covered. But anyways, I got that all fixed, new pan gasket. So that should be good to go. So what we're going to do today, we just had Christmas, so not a lot of money flowing right now, so I'm just trying to upgrade or change, make things better that don't cost anything. It's part of the, work harder thing. That's what we're doing right now. We're out here, we're working. You don't necessarily have to spend money to improve your program. This car doesn't have a whole lot of sensors on it. It does, but it doesn't. I don't have shock sensors. I don't have any transmission sensors. I don't really care. My transmission's been gone through one time in 4 or 5 years in this car. Mike Turner does a great job. He basically said it looked brand new, and this was after year 4. I just had it refreshed beginning of, Happy New Year's, beginning of last year. So about 365 days ago. So I do have traction control on this car. Do I use it? No. I kind of dabble with it when I'm testing a little bit. I get frustrated and I just turn it off, and I never turn it back on or use it or look at it ever again. I can get this car to go down typically 90% of the time. Everybody misses. But this year I've came a long way, got the car figured out, better than it's ever been. So, but it is something that interests me. The car does need to have it for the type of racing I do, and I do need to get proficient with it. Especially now, everybody's faster than ever. And it's just one more tool in the toolbox that you can use to your advantage. A lot of people, let me back up. I'm not going to act like I know what I'm talking about this stuff. Traction control, all these crazy sensors, because I really don't. I just know enough to get me in trouble and make it not work and make it suck. But what I can tell you is a lot of people think, oh, he's got traction control, he's just the fastest ever. Traction control doesn't make you fast. In fact, it can never make you faster. It can only slow you down, technically. It's just there to help in case you miss. If you're shooting for a 6.0 tune-up, you're on some freaking airport in the middle of freaking Jingjong, West Virginia, and you think you're going to go a 6.0, and there's freaking 504 freaking gravel out there, you're probably not going to go 6.0. But, so you dump the trans brake, you instantly get on the tire. Okay, so now you're probably going to go a 750 instead of the 6.0. Traction control is going to grab that tire, get you hooked back up, and you might come out with a 650 instead of 750 or a 680, but you're not gonna. It's only gonna go the 6.0 if the whole pass is perfect. If you hit the traction control, which is like a timing or rev limit, retard. If you hit either of those, you automatically slow down. You're not going to go 6.0. Just say you hit the retard A. Boom, you might as well just plan on losing 2/10 right off rip because you just lost it right in a 60 foot. Okay, so then you're just way too hot, you missed, and then you hit, the next retard. Okay, now you can shank off another 10th or two. You're never going to get, you're not going to, just put traction control on your car and just freaking 60 pounds of boost in 1 second, and it's just going to truck on down through there 470 in a freaking bean field. That's not how it works. But it can, prevent you. Maybe the next guy over also missed, doesn't have traction control, or he's just not. He needs a Ryan McCoy, and it just hits the rev limiter at 300 feet and just stays there for literally no apparent reason. So we're gonna fix that. I do have the sensor on. I've had it working good in the past. I've since changed some things. I'm trying to go a different way about it. But I just don't have very clean data. And you have to have clean data in order for it to work, accurately. Your graph can't be doing all kinds of crazy stuff, because if you inaccurately miss the curve, it's pulling power whether you're spinning or not. It's going to do whatever the sensor tells it to do. So I have already removed my sensor out of my car. This is a low dollar sensor. It has the LED on it. I have depinned my connector. And I'll kind of show you. I know there's a lot of people that watch this stuff. So some people never even messed with these connectors. So I'm not sure how good this camera is. But if you can look in there, I'll kind of do as best as I can. You kind of look in there, there's a little, your little spot in there. When you take this out, we're just going to imagine it's in there. There's a little pin right there. And if you just take your tool, you can use a little ground down pocket screwdriver, whatever. If you just kind of push up on your pin a little bit, and then push that back, you can just slide these pins right out of your connector. And then, I keep a good connector kit on hand. These are all the Holley MetroPack connectors. I got the good ones. So anytime, the Holley harness is full of these. So I just kind of keep them. And, you never know if you're at the track and you or maybe one of your buddies had a pin pull out or whatever. It's got your pins, your seals, and all that. You go on Amazon and don't mind my pants, by the way. I don't know if you can see this far. I have gray sweats, and my honey has gray sweats, and I accidentally grabbed hers. So my raisins are tight, my butt's tight. I'm feeling a little claustrophobic, but we'll get through it. Go on Amazon, get you a nice pair of MetroPack crimpers. Then you can crimp your, I gotta redo this one because I've messed it up when I pulled it out. But you can crimp all your own wiring and make it look good, and you don't want to butt splices and solder and all that. That's not for a race car. Um, that's for your trailer tail light. That, if you're Ryan Mitchell, and you know, Jesus, your whole trailer falls apart. Um, you butt splice the lights back together. Um, I just did it to. I used got my buddy Ian's trailer over here right now, and I accidentally stepped on his light, so I rewired him some new LED lights. I butt spliced those. That's okay. When you're doing, important data and you want your wiring to look clean, don't be butt splicing and soldering and all that stupid crap. Get you in some nice connectors and do it the right way. So anyways, what I was saying is I ran a 16 tooth wheel. I've since went to a 32 tooth wheel. I'm kind of switching the way it reads. I used to do it based off RPM. And it was pretty smooth up to about the shift. About 3 seconds into the run. I don't really need traction control out that far. But I like to have clean data regardless of if I'm even using it or not. If I want to see it, it doesn't matter. You want to be able to, even if you're not, you can still drive through it if you have a little bit too much wheel speed out back. If you want to tame it down with traction control out that far, by all means you can. But my data is a little erratic. It's not bad on RPM, but I've since switched to trying to get it to read in mile per hour, just because my brain follows it a little easier. It's a little easier to understand because you kind of know exactly how fast you're going at what point in the run. But for some reason, when I switch to mile per hour, my data is extremely kind of haywire. And I think a lot of it, I didn't realize that I ran this next to my alternator wire. So I think a lot of that, this is not a shielded cable. This is just the factory, or just the normal. This is how the sensor comes. I just trimmed it down to fit, my deal. But yeah, so the alternator wire, creates a lot of noise. Alternator wire there's a lot of noise going through there, a lot of amps, all kinds of stuff going on. And you do not want a sensor like this laying next to it. And mine was zip tied literally right to it. So I'm hoping that was some of it. I know I've talked to a few guys that are pretty proficient with traction control. They gave me a few tips on sensor gap and the orientation of this sensor. If you notice on the low dollar sensor, there's grooves right here. They say you want that groove running with the wheel. I did have mine that way. I think my gap might have been a little off. I'm not sure if it was probably only off by about 10 thou or so. But I'll tighten it up a little bit. But I'm hoping that the alternator wire was the biggest thing. Also, while I have this out, I'm going to shield it. Yes, I probably should just buy shielded wire. But I've heard if you just wrap the wire in aluminum foil. Yeah, I know it sounds kind of redneck, and I don't really do redneck stuff most of the time. But I've heard it actually works really good for just a cheap insurance. So what we are going to do, in just a minute, I'm going to wrap this in aluminum foil, but you're not going to be able to see it. It's not going to look like some taped up freaking grill brush in my car. So we're going to wrap it up with aluminum foil, kind of do some taping on it. And then I use this stuff. This stuff right here you can get on Amazon. It's just the wire stuff. It's like a Chinese finger trap stuff. I forget what it's called. I just call it wire loom, but it's like a Chinese finger trap. So you could technically, I mean, it's real thin. This is, I think, 1/4 inch maybe, but it'll expand up to that much. That's how big of a harness you can, stuff in there. So what I'm gonna do, might have to go up to the bigger size. I got some right here too, depending on how, I mean, we could get it big if we want. I'm not gonna obviously wrap it that big, but because of these terminals, I might repin them. Yeah, we'll just repin this stupid thing, and then I can fit it in there nice. Yeah, so I'm going to wrap this wire in aluminum foil, try to do it clean, and then we'll just go ahead and do it right now. Actually, I've got extra things. Ain't nothing but time. Bam, cut those off. And then once you get your foil on there, you just feed this stuff on there like so. And then you have, this is probably a little, see, that looks nice. If you got, running it under the car, this is abrasion resistant. It's actually really nice stuff. It's a pain in the ass to cut. I use these, I use my flush cuts. I got the Snap-on ones at work, but these ones are the Icon ones from Harbor Freight. This is literally, even at work, this is my favorite tool of all time. They're not bolt cutters, they're freaking for zip ties and stuff like this. Cuts it nice and clean. It's good for wire. I don't know if I have any extra wire somewhere. Probably. I don't know. Wire, zip ties, things like that. So, what I want to show you guys. So I'm going to do that. But what I want to show you guys is I'm going to show you some data. Use my phone for this. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, so this is a log of a pass that was went extremely well for me. Actually, it was personal best in a few areas, but the 60-foot, my 60-foot data when I ran it this way was extremely accurate and extremely smooth. I liked it this way, but kind of once I got into this area right here, it started getting a little inaccurate. And this might not look inaccurate, but if you go right here, so we're gonna look at drive shaft speed, see if I can get it posted in there. We're at like roughly, we'll just call it 3,900 RPM. Well, in literally less than 1/10 of a second, we've gained 500 RPM of wheel speed. That's like a lot. So that's definitely going to you're definitely going to be, depending on how you set it up, you're definitely going to be into, your retard B, if not your rev limit at this point with a 500, probably almost a little more than a 500 RPM swing. You're going to be up, you're going to be pulling quite a bit of power out at this point. So, and then it, drops back down, and it kind of does this all throughout here. And so the whole time, if you're running your curve, trying to be extremely accurate with your curve, you're going to be pulling power out here for no reason. I wasn't spinning here. This isn't a spin. This is just, whether it be vibrations. I've since went to a thicker, stronger, more designed sensor mount that my buddy Justin made for me, and he's the one that also did my wing. They're over at Top Flight Fabrication, and so it lines up a lot better with the wheel now, and he's got a really nice bender over there, so we're just messing around and building some cool stuff. But anyways, so we go over to how I have the sensor now. This is in mile per hour. As you can see, like, it's just kind of erratic. Like, I know this is pretty normal off the trans brake. Probably from just soaking up, ring gear, just play in that department. As soon as you let off the trans brake, you're gonna get that before the tire actually moves. And then this tire starts moving, and you're climbing. Yeah, I know we're not very fast, but you get the point. But so you get into this stuff. So I was not spinning in this pass, and we are that's 20 mile an hour difference. That's huge when you're trying to, tame the car and build a drive shaft curve off of the data that you were provided with. So if I enter, a curve and I build a curve, this curve needs to be as smooth through here as possible. And we can get into more of this stuff. Like I said, I'm not that great with it yet. I do understand it, and I have made, successful passes with traction control on. Like, I'm not completely, like I understand it. I just, things aren't going my way in the data department, and, there was a few other things I was missing kind of in my settings that were not agreeing, well with each other. I have some things in my traction control right now that I really don't want to put on the screen because these are just old data logs here. So once I clear that stuff out, I wasn't really prepared to kind of show that kind of stuff right now. But either way, you're creating a line through this department right here, okay? And this line, you want it to be as smooth as possible. So this hump over here, I was not spinning, okay? This hump right here, as soon as we get to this point to the run, whatever that is, 3.9 seconds into the run, it's gonna start pulling power, okay? All this stuff right here is pulling power out. If it crosses, like if your line goes straight through here, which is where you want it to be, any line above this line here, this invisible line, which is on my traction control, you know, table, but the line that you create, if you go over that line, depending on how you have your stuff, you're pulling power no matter what. So you're just hurting yourself. You're slowing down. Like I said, you're not going to get faster. If you miss it and you go above that line, you're instantly slowing down. So those are the two differences, and you know, the two data logs here. This like we'll just call this, you know, the 330. My 330 line is really smooth and accurate, but I want the whole thing to be accurate. So yeah, I'll get some stuff together and we'll build this homemade shielded cable. All right, we got us some foil. We're gonna make us some traction control. Okay, well, it's working pretty good. Had this all the way down to the sensor, kind of like that. And I put my wire loom on there. It looks pretty decent. But remember when I was talking about the whole redneck thing? This is a little too redneck for me. Now I do this stuff professionally as a career. So anytime I, do a customer vehicle, work on semi trucks, heavy equipment, stuff like that. Anytime I do, customer repair, it's always OEM or better. And this just ain't working with my brain. So I will get some wire ordered sometime, and I don't know why they just low dollar. If you see this, why can't we just make this with shielded wire already? If it's such a important part that needs to be shielded, can't we just make it with that already? So I guess I'll just yep, I'm already over it. This is now a hacked up piece of crap. I hate electrical tape too, by the way. If you own electrical tape, throw it in the trash. It's not good for literally anything. Not even electrical. Use heat shrink, not electrical tape. Okay, so there's that. So I guess what I'll do, I'll get some wire ordered. Probably trim it back to here, put my connector there, and I guess do the rest in shielded wire, I guess is how they probably do it. I'll reach out and ask some people, because I don't, and I guess as much shielded wire this way as I can get up to the ECU is probably how they do it, and then I'll be okay with just a connector here. So we'll do that. Aluminum foil, myth busted. Junk. Not doing it. Alright, I'll get some wire ordered and we'll continue.